You're listening to Who's Hot, the UKOCR podcast where Wil Chung, along with elite racers Becky, Neal, Chris Shipley, and the occasional special guest, discuss the UKOCR series and other important races in the OCR calendar to find out who's hot.
Hello and thank you for downloading the latest UK OCR Who's Hot podcast. My name is Wil Chung. I am the host and I am here as always with my two...
Our athletes.
Are we keeping it? Keep it. Roll it.
Are we keeping it? All right. I am here as always with my two OCR elite athletes. Oh my God, I don't know what's going on today. First of all, Becky, Neal, how are you doing? Hi.
Hello, Will. Hi, everybody. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, well, apart from saying earlier, it's me that's doing all the bloopers, but we will be okay. And here we are with the first blooper within a few seconds. And we've also got Chris Shipley. Ships, how are you?
I'm all right. It's just standard procedure, isn't it, on Who's Hot?
I don't know
Will
what's
with the
going
bloopers.
on. We'll talk about Darren wanting to be the presenter next after this anyway. So, and we have Alex Young, our guest for today. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Will. And hi, Becky. Hi, Chris. How are you guys?
All right. Yeah, good. It's great to have you on, Alex.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Had a bit of a haircut or a shave, haven't you? You look like a smooth 17-year-old boy.
It was his go faster haircut, and I think it worked pretty
Go
well.
faster haircut, yeah. But at 43, I think I need to take that as a compliment, Chris.
It's always a compliment.
I actually noticed that straight away as well, and he said, "Yep, go fast, the haircut." It's
I've got a lot of people walking past me at Nuclear on Sunday. That's for sure. Not recognising me, but all good.
And the four of us are here to talk about Nuclear Races Challenge Cup. We are here to recap. That's why we've got Alex on, and of course Chris and Becky to talk about it. Let's get straight in. I will go through the top 10 male and then the top 10 female. Then Alex will go straight over to you to talk about the race. So top 10 Challenge Cup. Danticum in first place, 1 hour, 7 minutes, 2 seconds. Leon Coford, 1 hour, 11 minutes, 16. And Dassos Ganella in third place, 1:12.12. We then have Russell Walsh in fourth, Darren Martin in fifth, followed by Finlay Greenleaf, Alex Young, Scott Barker, Jason Brunnock, and Gavin Hogarth. In the female, we have Federica De Caria, 1 hour 28.04. Charlotte Duhenny in second place, 1 hour 29.01. In third place, Karen Macquarie, 1 hour 29.29, followed by our very own Becky Neal and Tamar Barkley in fifth place, and then followed by Louise Ferriman, Ellie Brimacombe, Pip Rainbow, Laura Haywood, and Cheryl Beach rounding off the top 10. Alex, I've had loads of feedback already, but let's talk about the race. Over to you.
No
Thanks,
pressure.
Well, there was a lot of pressure on the day, seeing Leon Coford turn up, and I think we had another top European racer in Alec Blockland come along as well. And there was a lot of good people on the start line, so the pressure built a little bit as well from you guys on the Who's Hot preparation. But no, I felt confident with it being a home race, and I've been around Nuclear a lot of times, so I was confident on those obstacles. But the heat, the wet, the sun meant that it was going to be a fast race, and it started out as such. We come to the ditch, and everyone just went crazy in there. I think Dan managed to get out about first. I managed to get out of there about 6th or 7th place, so I was quite happy about that, really. And then it's just rushed down to the rec bags to see who could get those first. It's not too far after, and obviously you want to make sure you do get one of those rec bags. You don't want to be crushed by everyone else, but managed to get through on that okay. Got passed by Chris' co-host, Darren, on the way. And then I was off chasing Finlay down.
Boy's got some legs.
He was fast, and he kept me running the whole time. We were back and forth a lot of the time. I had Leo Brimacombe just behind me as well, new Nuclear Phoenix member. And he was keeping me running hard. So yeah, kept going. We got to a wall that we had to jump over before we hit the forest, and then over what was it, cargo net out of the other side, and another cargo net there where Leon come racing past me, and thought I'd try and keep up with him for a little while, but yeah, he's fast and he's a European champion for a reason. So he was gone onto the Weaver, which was a little bit chaotic with the change of rules as we got there. But James was there to resolve the issues and make sure everyone did Weaver. And then a little bit of a run before we got to the key obstacles, the Toros rigs, that kind of thing. And I'm used to being a bit further back where people make mistakes and I get to get a few positions, but no such luck this time. So I managed to get through all of those quite easily. The sun helped. Obviously, last year it was chaos with the wind and the rain, and it just made those obstacles so much harder. But this year wasn't a problem. Even got through the balance beam, which is one that I'm not too keen on. Got to the battering rams, and that's where I finally lost Finley. Couldn't keep with him anymore, but I also couldn't see anyone in the background, so just kind of tried to run it easy into the end. And I was a bit worried about that travelator at the end. It obviously caused a lot of failures last year, but this year it had been set on a lot more reasonable speed, and so it was first time up and over the line, and yeah, so all good.
Right, it's good having a dry race then for a change at Nuclear.
Yeah, because last year it was obviously soaking wet, and everyone was falling off everywhere. Difficult to run in that mud, and to be honest, it was exactly the same there maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, because what I heard, it was like really, really solid underfoot, and everyone was just running at stupid, crazy paces. No one was like holding back. Apparently, is what I hear.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think Dan was hitting 315, 320 per kilometer for a lot of the time, and like even down to kind of where I was, we were getting under the 4 minute mark quite regularly, because it was very vulnerable. It made for a fast race, as you can tell by the times compared to previous years.
Not sure my hair would agree that it was dry though.
No, we had a river run at one point as well, which meant that we didn't keep completely dry, along with the death slide and a couple of other bits and pieces.
We got a bit of feedback, not that type of feedback though, Chris, from members of the British Obstacle Sports. Thank you for those that have slipped into our VMs or our DMs. Had something already from Leo, as we've just mentioned. He sent me a DM. Let me go back to it. Nuclear was so good, had the perfect balance for a good obstacle race, in my opinion. Space to run in sections, but then some tough obstacles thrown in to stop the runner athletes from gapping the true OCR athletes. I think the close times on the finish line proves the race was balanced so well. It made me realise, though, I've so much more to learn to play with the big boys. And you've just said he's a new Nuclear Phoenix team member?
That's right.
The big nods there from Becky. We also have a voice note from Richard Jarvis.
Hi, Chris. A quick review of the Nuclear course. I would say the obstacles were set at about the right level for the weather conditions. They were a little bit easier than last year, but it meant that they were open to different techniques, and but you could still make a silly mistake on them and get caught. There were a few stories like that. The other good thing about the course today was there was no real mud. There was water, but the water was far enough away from the grippy obstacles, so it never really spread onto those obstacles. So the people that went first through the obstacle course, or the harder obstacles, had the similar course to what I had when I was a bit further down the field. So I'd say it was a good job today. They did. Nuclear did a good job. Hope that helps. All right then. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for that feedback, Richard. And also, Chris, do you want to introduce the next voice note we've had?
Not really. No. I'm joking. No, it's my good buddy Darren. He sent us a super duper long voice note. So sit back, listen for a couple of hours to him talk about the race. Don't know what he's on about, but yeah, have a listen.
Hi there, Becky and Will. Glad to be a part of Who's Hot. Just a bit of a recap of the race, a Challenge Cup. It went really well for myself. I really enjoyed it. Went in with the right race strategy. It's such a weird thing actually having a Nuclear Challenge Cup being hot and actually wanting to go into the water, which was nice. So yeah, it was a really good race. It was nice to see loads of people taking the UKOCR series like really serious. Like there was a lot of people resting, a lot of people that were also raced the Spartan Beast beforehand. But yeah, most people went in specialising towards this race, which is really nice. The field was always as stacked as it could be. Yeah, it started off really fast race, went into a few carries, which always wish the carries were a little bit longer in Nuclear. They do love a short and fast carry. But no, they were really good. I stayed pretty much in like third place, just chasing Russ for quite some time of the race. Went through to a few technical obstacles, then a lot more running in Nuclear this year. So it was really exciting to see us being able to put down some really good paces, especially with the fields not being all muddy. So it was actually quite hard underfoot. So it allowed for the race to be much faster than it usually is. So that was really good. Kept my place quite well going through like the mid part of the race, and then always a nice scene to be running side by side with Leon, and then raced with him for a few bit, and then Das and Leon took over me, and I kind of like held my position quite nicely going into the Challenge Cup obstacles. It was there were a few marshalling maybe things that were a bit difficult, I think, just to understand, especially when it came to like the Weaver. I think everyone hit the Weaver thinking that they were meant to go over the Weaver, but it was good that James was there telling us to actually Weaver it, although that did contradict the rule book. But it was, you always got definitely, if you got the RD there shouting, telling you the rules, then definitely that's always a positive. So it was really nice to have that. Challenge Cup obstacles were really thought out, really great testing obstacles. It's obviously a little bit easier than last year, so they were trying to get everyone to complete them. There were still a few failures, so that was good to see. I think that's just because people were going out so hot and racing so hard that you get that race brain on and you actually make silly mistakes. So yeah, the obstacles were still set up to make those mistakes, so it was quite good. So you had to be switched on when you jumped into them, especially the Toros rig. That was really nice to see. Attachments weren't the nicest, so you had to really use your grip strength to get through that. So that would really test and challenge someone who's very new to the sport to get through something like that. So yeah, it's nice to see one or two of obstacles like that. Low rig was the only time that I saw someone fail, so it's always a nice sight when you see Russ and Das with a pole over their head failing an obstacle. So I thought I was in for a chance to catch him at that point, but yeah, they got away from me. I completed that, and then I had Finn chasing me for the whole race at the end of it. So I was chasing Russ, and Finn was chasing me. It was a bit of a panic stations, really, trying to keep away from Finn, who's doing awesome at the minute, just chasing me down. And then I was chasing Russ, who was through his own admission, was flailing a little bit. So yeah, it was really good. And then we finished the race in them positions. I was chasing Russ for fourth place. Finn was chasing me to get my fifth place, but we just didn't catch each other. So yeah, I think it ended just me just behind Russ, chasing him down. I saw him go over the travelator as I was approaching it, and then Finn probably saw me going over the travelator as I was approaching it. So yeah, it was a really good race. One of the best Nuclear races I've been to, because what they've also changed is the running sections they've placed in. They've done them to help people warm up a bit outside the obstacles. So it wasn't when you come out of water. So we came out of water. Usually when you come out of the water section, you go straight into Challenge Cup obstacles, but they put like a kilometre of running in, and that is just amazing to see, because that is the best thing you can have to make sure people can dry their hands off. They can get themselves ready for the technical obstacles, and it's just such a good way to make sure that you can you can really attack them and get every bit of skill set out of you, so you're not too compromised when you hit it. So yeah, it was a really good race. Yeah, it's good. Oh, and sorry. Yeah, hi Ships, love you really. Okay, bye.
Awesome. Did you, Chris? Did you get any other feedback from, or kind of verbal feedback from any other male races? Any other thoughts? Obviously you were speaking to Leon as well. What did he think of the race?
From what I hear, he had a really great time. Well, people don't actually know this, but it wasn't actually Leon Kofu. See, I popped down to the local Tesco's and I got myself a Leon Kofu fancy dress, size medium in Gap Kids.
Medium.
And in Gap Kids, Becky.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, put on my Leon Kofu costume, and that was me. That was me who got second place. Squeezed into it. Had a blast.
Shame you can't collect your points.
No, it's a shame. But no, evidently had a great time. Becky, you spent a bit of time with him after the race.
Yeah,
Down at Dassa's. What did he think?
Yeah, we had some good chats actually afterwards. He had a pretty big OCR weekend in the UK, doing Spartan as well the day before, second at both events for him. And he said, well, recently he's been competing in like the Czech Republic. They had their national championships, and he said that the vibes were totally different, much more positive here, and that the athletes were actually able to focus on racing, not worry about all the ins and outs of what's going on in the OCR world, and that everything was really well organized, and that everyone was really positive, and especially the kids opportunities were quite exciting, and essentially just a really good place to be an athlete right now doing OCR in somewhere in the world. So he was a bit jealous, I think, of all of those things, and especially the size of the community as well. And once he realized that we had this other race on Sunday, not just the Spartan race that was on Saturday, he realized that was the place he needed to be. And there's a few second places, so he was impressed with Dan's running speed and of course obstacle completion as well. So it's I think it's a good sign for the UK team, really.
Yeah, I said to him as well when I messaged him, I said it's really good to have that sort of caliber racer coming over and showing how good like the community is over here, because we're quite a small island in comparison to to Europe. We're all so close, and I think that really helps our sport because we're all getting along and spreading the word, and we are all positive and working together, which I think is key. I think when other athletes see that abroad, they see that we're really putting in the effort to try and make this a better sport and make it grow. I had people come up to me when we was in at Strong Viking saying about that. It's awesome.
I think one of the good signs was as well, if you look at Alec Blockland, who came over, he finished up in 12th place, but he actually came 6th in the OCR series the last couple of races. So he's a strong racer, and it shows that we've got the quality here if he's finishing a little bit lower down on Challenge Cup, even if it is probably partially because he doesn't know the obstacles as well. But shows that we've got some strong runners there.
They're running scared.
Well, let's hope so.
Heroes national team, they're running scared. Too many questions, I thought, from Leon over dinner.
I think we've all got rivals on that the Dutch team, on that Denmark team, haven't we?
Yeah, we had a good chat about who they're going to have, and anyway, I didn't let any secrets out for us. Don't worry.
Good. We're on covert MI5.
I think it is always really interesting because especially Becky, you're traveling a lot across Europe, and how we do want to go out to Europe, but I think we are very fortunate to have so many great races, different races here in the UK. Not only is there, of course, the Spartan, but Nucleus, such a great race. Formula Jam, which is going on, is it a different type of race? Total Warrior, and it's all across the country. And as you say, I think we're very, very fortunate as well to have such a big sporting community, and everyone gets on with each other. And of course, there's those competitive rivalries, but I know that most people are more than happy to talk to each other about how they're training, what they're training on, and to give support to everyone else. And I think that is something that we do forget being in this community ourselves.
Yeah, and I think those things are shared even between teams. It's one community, and I hope that people also, especially going to events like bigger events, that there's also the community between the competitive races and the non-competitive races. Sometimes that is a bit harder to see, but it's really nice when those things happen at the same event, like they do at some of the UKOCR races. But I guess this one at Challenge Cup was a bit different because it being the national trials, the top three got automatic selection, but not Leon. To represent the UK at the World Championships, because this race is probably the most similar out of the ones in the series in general, to some of the more technical European or world level races. So it's kind of got everything. There was thousands of people there at the race, and of course the pro rookies wave as well, which had a Taurus rig and stuff like that. And there's some really great footage from those races that you should watch. So I think it's got everything, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
Just want more.
Ticks a lot of boxes, Nuclear.
There was a lot of people there at the weekend. It was good.
What sort of vibe was it? Because I wasn't there. I missed it. I mean,
You
I
really
was there.
missed out. It was
I know.
so sunny.
Tell me. I know. I've never.
When you're waiting for a podium, you're like, oh, come on, can this hurry up, please? It wasn't.
That's the thing with Nuclear, isn't it? Remember, like all the years we go to Nuclear, it's one of them races. We all stand together afterwards because they've got age group podiums for the winners and all that. You really do get together and you spend time waiting because we've all got friends and mates and things getting all these other accolades, and it's great to see. And then you just spend time there, and it's got that sort of festival vibe, isn't it?
And it was even more so this year because of Nuclear Fit and Nuclear Storm, which is basically the one without running. So there was all the people that you might see at High Rocks there as well, and it was like mega hot. And yeah, the kids race was on a Saturday, like the pro, so it would have been really nice if that was on the same day, because we didn't actually get to watch them. Alex, of course, you did, but it would have been hard, I guess, for you to have that on the same day as your own race, maybe as well. So, and it all works out to some level, and they could do the kids race at Spartan.
Yeah, the kids race has actually got 1,000 people this year. Obviously not in the pro wave. I believe there was about 25 kids in the pro wave. We have been trying to encourage them to people to sign up for the pro wave for the kids. There have been a couple of videos released over the last week or so to kind of demonstrate to people that your kids can do this. And we watched a few of the faster kids who weren't in the pro wave go round and just kind of gave them the heads up that pro wave was there and available if they wanted it. But it was a good race to watch. The kids did magnificently, and there's some really strong races there. Myself, I'm scared. There's Harry, Riley. Once they get up to the adults, they're going to be beat. They're going to be challenging the top racers straight away. And for the girls, you've got Izzy and Jessie. I think Jessie will be following in Libby's footsteps, and Izzy will hopefully be challenging a little bit in the future. She's done one race against the adults in the Winter Nuts and enjoyed it, and she wants to be racing the adults come the future.
She's doing fantastic. Yeah.
Winter Nuts. Let's shout out Izzy and Cameron, because they've had a great sporting weekend as well. Alex, do you want to talk about the results over Nuclear and Spartan?
So Nuclear Spartan, they both went up for that over to the Henley-on-Thames. Izzy was very happy to get first, and that's the third time in a row that she's been on top of the podium. So she's excited about that. And then Cameron managed to get his first top of the podium as well. So probably even a bigger moment for him, because
it's a big time coming. That really, we've been watching him for a little while.
It hit a third before. He hit a third at Tartan Warrior, but he's always kind of had the disadvantage that he's got a couple of lot faster lads who are a year older than him, and this time he was the top of the age group, and he's able to use that speed and power that he's got to make it into top place. So well done to him.
Gritty racer. What's it like being the worst sportsman in the household? Because I know what it's like. I live with a better sports person. It's horrible, isn't it?
Do you know what? like occasionally we'll come out, like I'll be over the Wild Forest and I'll be racing on obstacles with them, and like we've gone into it at the same time and they're out before me. And I'm like, really? Like, when did that happen? I'm not showing you what to do anymore, that they're showing me. But yeah, no, they're definitely going to be both better than me and catching me.
Must be super proud. Yeah, must be super proud.
Yeah, it's good. And it's good to have it that we can all do together.
Yeah, have it as a sport that you're doing. I mean, when I used to train with my dad, it was one of the best things I've ever done throughout my whole life, and it's one of the things that I've always enjoyed doing. So having your kids do the same sport is something else.
When they've done other things, that you kind of sit on the sideline watching, but kind of this is great because you can all get involved together. And to be honest, the rest of the team will train with them as well and show them what to do. And I'll help out the other kids. We've got another great lad, Alex, in the team, and lad a little older, Dan, who I'm more than happy to help out and run around the forest with him. And then we have Ollie Addy from the Nuclear Phoenix team join us occasionally. So help them all out. And Ollie especially can show me a few things on the obstacles and help me out.
He can show me a few things as well. I'll watch some of his videos.
Definitely.
It's very special, I think, and I think that will, have an impression on their lives for the rest of time. I think it's a very positive thing. So, good on you, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got it, Becky, in like you and Daz together, and you like get to go to these races together, and it's not just one of you watching. You both can race and both kind of like talk about the races afterwards and understand kind of what each other have gone through. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the dinner table talk must be amazing.
Yeah, that was the podcast. Actually, my parents were both runners, and my sister's a dancer, and it made a huge difference. I think she resents them a little bit compared to me, because that was all the dinner conversations were about running, and it's all good anyway. But it made a difference for sure, and they're still doing it, and I'm still trying to be as fast as them. It's a healthy habit, I think.
Good stuff.
Becky, let's talk about the female race.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So it was pretty fast starts. We got a bit of a space from the men. Of course, we did catch them up. I think it took us out a little bit of a detour. Apologies. We saw the men go off, and we're trying to watch from the start pen, and we saw you all go left, and we thought, oh, they're letting us go down the side. Perfect. So we went for that. Then we got back in the water. Anyway, fix that.
I see that.
Yeah,
I saw that on the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, fair play to you, Becky. You went straight back in, did your bits and pieces.
Yeah. Anyway, mistake.
The trouble for going out so hot.
Yeah, because it's narrow through there, and like when you're picking up wreck bags and stuff, people get in the way and stuff. So I do like having a fast start. I know some people go off a lot slow. I like getting space. Anyway, we were all really close together on the carry still, and then went off into the forest, and Fede was in the lead with me on a shoulder, and it was pretty fast, because there's that nice track through the forest where you can run pretty hard through the kind of the dirt bike bit, and then before long there we had a nice international lady running with us as well. She was really strong on the missile carry, but had to kind of try and go around the outside of me. And then she went for the overtake, so it was Fede, her, and me, and then Karen and Shai kind of overtook on that kind of incline in the backfield near the back scratcher obstacle. So then when you're running across the fields towards Wild Forest, there were sort of 5 of us with Fede going out in front. And then we went into the forest, and we were all sort of really close together still on that new one, Zibidee, and through the chain drag, and then getting onto the monkey bars, which are on that really long gorilla bars obstacle, but you just do like about is it like 20 or 30 monkey bars, but we were still really close together. So there was 2 women, I think it was Karen and the international lady, stood on the bars, or Shai was there as well, and Fede had already started, but like I was ready to get on, and there was quite a lot of pressure, and unfortunately the lady fell off and broke her ankle. It was awful. I could see it. It was hot. It was sticking out. And then the marshal stepped in front, and then I was going along, and it was all a bit collision. It was a bit hectic, but we managed to stay on the bars apart from the poor lady that hurt herself. And you could see it whilst you're hanging on. It was definitely not okay, and she was screaming. So it was a bit traumatic, and I think there was a bit of congestion there. And it was hard to kind of shake that off, especially if you've all, most people have had ankle injuries and you just do not want to remember any of those things. And I couldn't really get it out of my head. Anyway, I hope she's doing all right. I know somebody hurt themselves on that last year when they fell and hurt their elbow or something as well. So it is pretty high. And we had wet hands from the chain drag thing through the puddle. So it was quite a slippery set of monkey bars with quite big gaps and quite narrow rungs. Anyway, we kind of settled in and got to the Weaver and overtook the men then. And then through that running section through the water, which was quite long, I'd say. And at that point, Fede was in the water, and then it was Karen and Shai and me. And still, within like 10 meters of each other, probably. Karen loves the water, and both have got really strong legs, so running through there was hard to keep up with them. Then we came back across to the axes. I thought, well, this is where things can change because we're close enough that if you have to have more or less goes, then that can actually make a difference. I took 4 attempts on that one. I think the others now have got it in the first or second one, so I didn't need to go back and get the axes and throw it again. So I lost a bit of time there. We managed to carry the isotope thing. I think that was what was allowed in the end. And then you go back round to Acrophobia, which wasn't in it this year, and you run past it with that. But there's a big mud pit. I don't know about you, Alex, but my shoes felt mega heavy after that point, getting through the mud pit with the dangly ropes where you crawl underneath. And then you've got to run through the trees.
Yeah.
Quite a long section of running through the trees. There's some natural obstacles there and a nice downhill, actually. Before we got to the kind of the single attempt obstacles, but it was hard work to like push through that section because it felt very out the way. I think people were quite isolated. You couldn't really see people in front of you. So in that point, I think Fede put in a really good run section and got to the spinning monkeys first. Unfortunately, she made a mistake and came off just near the end, so there's a penalty there, and that's where Shai and Karen got ahead. But the fields there where you do the penalties are like taller than us, so you can't really see where everyone is. And I was like, I could see because I basically came off or completed the spinning monkeys when Fede finished the penalty, but I couldn't see Shai and Karen. I thought, are they doing a penalty? Have they gone the wrong way in the forest? Who's in the lead? I don't know. Why is Fede here? Because I didn't see her until then. Anyway, we did the new Minions one, which was pretty fast, pretty easy, and then out into some more running before we got to Kingfisher. Of course, like you're saying, Alex, you can't rely on anybody to fail obstacles anymore. Everyone's just improved so much and got so good. You can't be complacent at all. So of course we all completed all those things okay. And then I fell off the donuts because you couldn't put your legs up. It wasn't a rope traverse. Instead, there was a big gap, a couple of meters that I couldn't cross, so I tried to swing with the rope because the donuts had come apart, and I tried to move them. Anyway, I went in and did it again and lost touch with the race a little bit as well there, and that went rounded it and then onto the Taurus rig. But of course, they're all excellent athletes. That was no problem for all of the leading ladies. Into the death slide, no time for fun shapes because we're racing.
Pencil dive this time, wasn't it, Becky?
I was like, quick, go faster, torpedo.
Torpedo.
And then I'm swimming like, oh, the trees have gone, that's nice. And I'm like, no, Karen's a good swimmer, come on, go faster.
It was actually quite nice in the water though, wasn't it? Like,
it was nice.
It was refreshing, whereas normally it's just takes all the air out your lungs.
It washed the mud off, although we didn't have to go through Ebenezer, so it wasn't too bad. I probably could have capitalized more on the zip line, but it's all good. And then we did a bit of an extra run, so I think James Parrish had to put in that extra bit of distance there, like 1k of running after the death slide and the magic carpet and stuff, to make sure that if it was cold, we could warm up a bit before we went on to the obstacles, before we did the balance and before we did the grip obstacles. So there was an extra running section there, which we haven't done before, like over the bridge, which was nice. And then the balance beam, which I think everybody was all good at again. And then onto the gorilla bars. So that long green net that actually made a difference to the race last year, that wasn't in it. That's very painful. It's a very tough obstacle, that one. It's very long. But it was sort of slightly shorter this year. But it does go straight into the next gorilla bars obstacle with that fat rope, excuse me, which is like really quite intense back to back in terms of obstacles. I overtook some more men up the hill before to the low rig, where there's a little bit of hustle and bustle, I think, because we were pretty close racing for the podium positions. And I think Karen got some way across the low rig, but had to do a penalty. And me and Fede got onto the low. So I think at that point then Shai might have been in the lead, as Karen was on the penalty, and then Fede had started, and then she completed the low rig. Then I joined, and we're back through the forest to the other obstacles. I think Ferg was marshalling the high rig there, and he said there was like 40 seconds between us at that point. And then everyone completed the stairway to heaven. I caught up to Karen on the coat hangers obstacle, or just after that. I think it was on the mud cream rings actually, where I've probably done them a few more times. But she just had the speed. So at this point, Fede had overtaken Shy with the running speed after we'd kind of completed all the obstacles, making her way back after the spinning monkeys penalty. And of course, Fede's very efficient through Wild Forest as well. And then Karen had the strength in her legs to run back across the farm. There's like 3K to go to pull away from me. And then she didn't quite make it to catching up with Shy. He just kept everything intact all the way to the end. And the Travelator wasn't a challenge for anyone anymore. I think it was 1 revolution per minute, revolution of the whole belt per minute slower this year than last year, which is quite substantial. So everyone did that straight away, I think, and across the line. Yep. So after that, I think Ellie Brimkin, who's now on Nuclear Phoenix as well, improved. She completed more obstacles than last year, and was kind of ahead for more of the first half of the race, but then lost it a little bit with a few penalties in the kind of Wild Forest area. But yeah, there was some people hot on our heels the whole time.
Well, if you look at the times, have you seen them? But first for Fede, 1:28.04, Shyla 1:29.01, Karen 1:29.29, and you, Becky, 1:30.25, and even Tamar 1:32.13. They
Yeah.
are so close. And just hearing you talk about it, the battles that you girls must have been having all throughout the race, back and forth. The ladies' field this year again is just hotting up.
Yeah, for sure. And Tamar, she was, we could see her in the race for the majority of the time, and we knew that Tamar was going to be doing Oblivion. But we thought she's still going to go as fast as she can, and then maybe just hang on for Oblivion. And she was literally right there at the finish. So it was, yeah, you had to keep going. And I know from the race last year where I wasn't in the lead until sort of the end part of the race, that it's not over till it's over. It's not over until you've got up the Travelator and crossed the line. So I think people were still pushing, even if they were in 4th or 5th. And Louise Ferriman, of course, did really well with that last year. This year she was 6th. And Pip was really successful as well with all the obstacles and not being so cold this time round. And Cheryl was racing Spartan the day before in the pro race, so she had like a whole beast course in her legs. Yeah, but she wasn't far off, the places ahead of her in that race the day before. So there's a lot of people competing.
It is showing the caliber of everyone at the moment. It's just it's on, everyone's on top form.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the ladies as well, they're so much closer to the men like the last year, 2 years, whereas maybe 4 or 5 years back, they'd be quite a way back. That is not the case anymore.
No, that's right.
They can compete with the men, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's good. I'm excited.
We've got some feedback from Tamar.
Well, what can I say? What a great race. My plan was just to go hard for Challenge Cup and hope that I could keep going for the Oblivion. I managed to keep up with a very fast start, hoping that I could move up a few places once we got to some of the technical obstacles. Sadly, one of the ladies injured herself falling off the gorilla bars, which is never nice to see in a race. But massive kudos to the marshals for their quick response to help her, but also to ensure that the race could keep going. I mainly ran on my own from about the Weaver and pretty much lost sight of Becky once we got to the axe throwing. Although the water wasn't cold, pushing against the current in that river was certainly very draining. There was quite a few very long run sections, but they were all varied, like running in the beautiful bluebell woods, along the grassy tracks, and through the crop fields. The run section after the lake was particularly welcome because it gave us a chance to dry off, so it didn't really affect us on the obstacles so much. This was a great change from last year. It was also a very good decision to have a 10-minute gap between the men and the women starting. However, I still managed to catch up with some of the men, and I had to wait to do part of the gorilla bars where there was only 3 lanes, but other than that, it didn't really cause a problem. Overall, I really enjoyed the variety of the course, and the weather certainly helped. James Parrish, the race director, had taken on board our feedback from last year, and this has been my favourite Challenge Cup so far.
And interesting, Alex, she did talk about catching up with the men, and Becky was talking about catching up with the men as well. Maybe a bit more space, or just to give a bit more space to allow people to race on, because unfortunately, I mean, Tim did say she'd get held up at the gorilla obstacle, but it didn't seem to have changed much. But we don't want kind of queuing, waiting for people to kind of halt any race and spoil any progress from races. So maybe a bit more space. And so as you say, Alex, it's more to do with the ladies just getting so much stronger and so much fitter now.
I did have to do quite a lot of shouting to get on the low rig straight away, and more time would work, but also doing it the other way around would work.
Yeah.
Doing the marathon, if it's only 20 women in the race and 50 men, it's not that hard to overtake 20 women, especially if you have a big time gap. Whereas it affects the podium positions and in potential qualification if it's the way around that we ran. Yeah.
And we've seen it work so well with the Golden Trail series. A lot of their races, they're sending the women off first as well, and it helps with the footage. We can get the people who are filming the races keep with the women at the front and then fall back to the men. It's I totally agree. It's a really great way of keeping things going.
We got a little bit more feedback. First of all, with Ruth Batty. Ruth, thank you very much. Challenge Cup is always both the best race and the toughest of the series, in my opinion. Awesome course, lots of variety of obstacles and challenges from technical to pure mind games and fun. Challenge Cup obstacles were spot on. I failed a few, which was to be expected given I sawed my finger last week, but I actually did enjoy. I did better than previously. Penalties really started to hurt after a while. They definitely did the job. And also from Wendy Brothers, thank you, Wendy. The race was excellent, as always. It seemed less wet than previous years, which you guys were talking about, but maybe just felt that way because it was so hot. The terrain was better running ground than some, less rutted or marshy, with a few decent runs between groups of obstacles. The obstacles were fabulous, so many and a wide variety of difficulty. Even for less able athletes, there were plenty of challenge and the satisfaction of achieving an obstacle for the first time. I really like the penalty system, with half the penalty if half the obstacle is completed. Becky will come back to that. It was a real incentive to get as far as I could. The TOs and marshals were amazing. I love Challenge Cup. That was a new thing, wasn't it, Becky, for Nuclear? I'm probably taking that forward. So can you quickly talk us through that?
Yes, so essentially, as communicated in the start briefing, with penalties, sometimes we find that either it's not long enough, or people try and abuse the system a little bit by gaining advantage by having a very short attempt or a non-genuine attempt sometimes. So to prevent that, particularly with the longer obstacles, and when there was enough marshals and technical officials, they were able to implement a long penalty if you failed early on the penalty on the obstacle. But if you perhaps got past halfway or established a really thorough attempt and progressed through most of the obstacle, then you could do half of the penalty. So usually it was either like carrying a bar above your head, or bear crawling, or a sandbag carry. But you could actually turn around at an earlier stage if you had progressed further on the obstacle, and then that was governed by the marshal. So that was communicated there, and that ensured that people, to make sure that they didn't get the longest penalty, and didn't that they could they would have to try their hardest to make sure that they could reduce the penalty if they were going to fail it, if they thought it wasn't possible. And I think the feedback that I heard from it, like immediately after the race, when everyone was chatting for a couple of hours, was positive. Everyone appreciated that. I think everyone thinks it's very fair. It's not an extra penalty or anything, so it's just a better reflection of the achievement in obstacle course racing. I think if we don't have the capacity to put on additional things like they do at Toughest Race with harder lanes or with extra obstacles to complete, without that kind of capacity, then this is a really good alternative. And I think when people realized it on the start line, it was like, oh yes, like you could immediately hear, oh okay, that's cool. And of course everyone doesn't think that they're doing that. People don't assume that it's them that's not trying their hardest, but it doesn't ensure that you do try your hardest, and so hopefully it just makes everybody a better racer as well. Like you actually try and do an obstacle, maybe you just don't have enough confidence, but if you're trying to do that because of the the changes to the penalty, then you might actually discover something that you could do, and hopefully that's more rewarding as well.
It is always frustrating if you get to the last attachment, fall off, and then you've got to do the penalty. The person who fell off like first attachment's like now 20-30 meters ahead of you. But yeah, that stops it all. So good stuff. I think it worked.
Cool.
And Chris, you had some another voice note?
Yeah, Shyla sent me a little voice note. So let's listen to that.
Hey Ships, Becky and Will. I had an awesome race. It went better than expected. To finish second, that was just something I wouldn't have contemplated going into the race. My main objective for the race was just to attack the death slide. It's the only thing I gave any actual thought to. And then to cross the line in second, well, that was just like the icing on the cake. Currently at the airport, on my way to Spain to take part in the Spanish Champs, to get some obstacle exposure and just a test in the build up to Euros in Italy, because that's the A race really. No niggles of any sort. Body's feeling good, feeling strong, and just looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. If I'm honest, it's gonna be fun. I feel like my running's coming together at the right time, and just want to see how more I can push myself and just get stronger and faster, really. And that's about it. And rivals, Shipley, you ask about rivals. Well, anyone who ain't Rumble is a rival, are they not? No, I'm only kidding. I don't have any rivals. My biggest rival is myself. Just want to get better and keep improving. And that's about it, really. See you guys later. Peace.
Just in the nick of time as well, she sent that.
Well, Shila's going to be getting even more obstacle practice in this weekend. That's happening.
Is she another one that's defecting across to Nuclear Phoenix? It seems you guys getting a lot.
No, they're off to Spain, aren't they? They're on another holiday.
Mike's gym?
No, we're competing in the Spanish National Championships with some of the hardest obstacles known to Europe.
Jealous again.
Yes.
You went
to OCR series. I'm going to this one.
Yes, but yeah.
I heard rumours of people going to Toughest as well, though, Chris, now. Ellen.
I know. Are they? See, no one contacts me.
Leon.
Maybe people just don't want to go with me.
Okay, well, you're not.
They've heard what happened to me and Darren in Poland, so that no one wants to come on holiday with me.
Unfortunately, this isn't EU OCR, but which Toughest race is this one? Is it?
Leon and Ellen might be going to Malmo. Yeah.
Malmo. We talked about it, Will.
We talked about it.
Yeah, I'm in Henley.
Yes. Anyway,
let's move on to the standings. I think it's been a while since we've been able to update, or it feels like a while. I have got the provisional standings here. I'll start with, I've got team in front of me, so I better start with that one. Nuclear Phoenix, top of the list, top of the pile. I'm sure the first time we talked about this, guys were a bit further down. So Nuclear Phoenix, first place, 4275. Second place, Fit Body Farm Freestylers, 4199, so only 76 points between them. Third place, Rumble Racing, 4125, so only 74 points behind. Fourth place, we've got Nuclear Wild Forest, 3950, and in fifth place, Primal Fitness. Sixth place, Team Grit. Seventh place, PT Barn Racers. Eighth place, Field Fit. Ninth place, Team Nuts, and in 10th place so far, OMRM. I will go over to mail. Oh, here we go. It has worked out. Overall standings, 3 races provisional. Top of the pack, Russell Walsh, 3 races, 1,380 points. Finley Greenleaf, second place. We'll come back and talk about Finley in a second. 1,215 points. Third place, Dasa Scanella, 1,145 points. Then fourth place, Alex Young, 1,091 points. Fifth place, Ramsey Wickes, 1,045. Followed by Andy Bright, Bill Stubbs, Dan Titcombe, Andrew White, and then Stephen Graham. Let's very quickly, before we go over to the females, Finley, second place.
That boy.
He's just amazing. He's coming on so well, isn't he?
He is, and we've said it before on here. It's just been waiting and waiting to happen, and to see him in second place, and that day is going to come when he's going to be on the podium, and it's going to be very, very soon.
Yeah, I think that when we first really started paying attention to him in the kind of the senior races was Rude Rampage last year, and soon, in the next month or two, we're going to come back to that. It's going to be a whole year further on, I think. Like with a whole year of racing at this level, it's imminent, isn't it? It's imminent when he's going to podium.
He's holding on at the end of races now, whereas I don't think he was quite doing that last year. His strength is getting there, so yeah, I think a podium will be coming very soon for Finley.
It's going to be really, really exciting to see his performance in the European Championships as well. That's where, because even when I was over in wherever I was the other weekend, people were asking about Finley.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So he's got an X on his chest or on his back or wherever they put it.
Yeah, and I think that race will suit him. Like Europeans, we can focus on that another time. But I think he will do his best.
I think there's a definite podium chance for him there.
I think what's really interesting as well about the men's race before men's standings before we go over to the females. Alex, you're coming up there. You're through there. Andy Bright at the moment. Bill Stubbs, Dan Titcombe down in 8th place at the moment. But that top 10 is not what I would say is a usual top 10 at this moment in time, and maybe it's just the run of the races we've had so far. And again, we will talk about Euros and British Championships and everything else. But that's quite a nice mix at this moment in time. It's not what you would expect in the standings at this moment in time.
No, we had a similar thing last year, didn't we? I mean, people seem to tend to pick and choose their races a little bit more strategic for the whole year now. And I think this will certainly get changed around a bit. But the points now that the people have made are going to be really, really
valuable
key later on in the races.
Yeah, I think the different thing about this year is that the next race in the series, and that we're already halfway, is the British Championships. Last year, that was the last race. And that, we had a key race where we had national trials at Challenge Cup last year, and that brought a lot of athletes head to head. So at this stage, we had that, and we'd had Spartan, which of course had brought a lot of athletes head to head. So we'd had a lot of head-to-head racing from Spartan and Nuclear last year, and this year we haven't had that, which is maybe why it's more mixed. But after the next event in this series, the National Championships, where we will hopefully see everybody, Chris, racing, then maybe it will be more kind of balanced. Or
I think it's just interesting right now, and it's good just seeing lots of different names as well. It's fantastic. Let's go over to the females. So in first place, Karen McQuarrie, 3 races, 1,400 points. Second place, Charlotte Dehany, 1,235 points. Third place, Deborah Love, 1,058 points. Kerry White, 1,027 points. Fifth place, Federica De Caria, 965 points, 2 races. Josie Lloyd, Becky Neal, Tamar Barkley, Elizabeth Brimacombe, and Nicola Gillespie in 10th place. So again, there's a few there. I think because they've got the 3 races, but there's a nice mix of ladies up there. But I can see, likes of yourself there, Becky, and Josie and Tamar, that's just bubbling under. And I think definitely picking your races and then picking people off later on to get your 4 races in.
Yeah, I think the top 3 is going to change, after every race, really. At the moment, there's only 4 people who have 3 races that we can compare directly. But really, Karen is still going to be number 1, even when more people do more races, apart from maybe Fede, who's kind of the only person that's really challenged her. I'm still going to be, I've had 2 fourths, so I'm not going to be affecting it that much. Josie's ahead of me and so is Shy. So I think as soon as Josie does another race, and of course Fede, and even Tamar as well, that will have an impact on that kind of maybe the 2nd and 3rd positions a little bit, or all of them as well. And yeah, like I say, Spartan race is the next one. So you can make some predictions based on the race on Saturday as well about how that will go. Of course, it's a kind of a medium distance. It's going to be 12K, which isn't typical of Spartan, but it is a very common race distance that we know how these people perform over. So it is going to change, but it's really exciting, especially as you've got even Nicola, who used to be Phoenix, who races PT barn races, I believe, actually, and Ellie challenging in the top 10, and the running will kind of work in their favour as well. So, who knows?
I think once we get to maybe race 5, 6, and the top 10 have all done 4 races each, we'll be able to see it a lot more. And if you get that one superb result as well, that's going to stick there, that will really make a difference at the end of the season, whereas it might not show as much at this point in time.
Cool. And some of those
Let's go over
contributed to the teams.
Yeah.
In strength in depth as well, definitely for the team standings. Let's go over to Masters Male. Dasso Scanella in first place, Alex Young 2nd place, Ramsey Wickes in 3rd place, followed by Andrew White in 4th, Tim Grangle in 5th, Gavin Hogarth in 6th, Jason Wright in 7th, Simon Briggs in 8th, John Redmond in 9th, and Dean Johnson in 10th place. And in the Masters female, Deborah Love in 1st place, 1,058 points. Kerry White in second place, 1,027 points. Tamar Barkley in 3rd place, followed by Louise Furman in 4th, Ruth Battersea in 5th, Laura Hayward in 6th, 7th, Susan Jarman in 7th, Heather Ratcliffe going back in 8th place, Diana Fryer in 9th place, and Claire MacArthur in 10th place.
Nice. I think when Tamar and Lou get another race in, that's going to be a really exciting battle again.
And you, Alex?
Yeah.
Your chance without the reigning champion from last year racing, James Burton.
Yeah, I've been looking out for Gavin and Das and Ramsey each race and trying to do my best to keep ahead of them. But
Alex, I've raced you this year. You are racing well.
Nice.
The best I've seen you ever.
It's been a good season for me so far, and I'm very happy about that. But yeah, that's definitely got a big lead on me at the weekend with a 2nd place in terms of the points. So yeah, I think that'll be difficult to catch up, but I'm going to try and get there for all 8 races. So give me my best chance possible.
You got to get that pumpkin.
He got 3rd place for the points. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not going to live that down, is he?
No, I'm going to tell him it every time as well. I can't wait. It was the best thing ever.
Change it every week and get him to text me just to.
What? Alex, have you got a pet name? Does your wife call you a pet name?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, no.
Sure.
How about yourself, then, Chris? What do you?
I'm just known as a stud. Spotty, buff man. You know, it all comes out. Huge arms. She calls me every now and again.
We can see where the magic happens in that little girl's room behind you, Chris.
Yes.
Guys, anything else you want to talk about in terms of Nuclear Challenge Cup?
I'm thinking elsewhere now.
What other matters?
All right,
just a shame that I wasn't there. It sounds like an absolute fantastic race as always put on by Nuclear, and competition's hot.
Yeah, it would have been good to have yourself there, and a few other races. I think who'd done Spartan missed out, but hopefully next race everyone will be there, and we will see who comes out on top.
Nice.
You ought to be a presenter, Alex.
Sorry.
Who's on top is Nicole's.
Mine has just gone down the gutter then now.
I want to give out a shout out to former presenter Mark Dixon. You can follow him on Instagram at mark.dixon.running. He is by the time this is out, he will have ran the Great Wall of China as part of a marathon attempt. He's raising money for Save the Children. So please do, if you have anything if you'd like to donate, please do follow him on Instagram. Probably lots of his pictures too. I've seen his pasty face out there on Great Wall already. But follow him on at mark.dixon.running. Good luck, Mark. But again, I know you will have finished by the time this has gone out. Thank you, Alex, for joining us today to recap Nuclear Challenge Cup. You can follow Alex at Wild Forest Alex on Instagram. As always, thank you to my two OCR elite racers, Becky Neal, the Runner Bee in UK, and Chris Shipley at Obstacle Race Dude. All the information you can find on at UKOCR. If you don't follow us, then you should be already. And thank you, as always, to British Obstacle Sports for always supporting the UKOCR League. You can follow them at British Obstacle Sports. My name is Wil Chung, and we will be back in June, where we will be previewing the Euro Championships with the British Obstacle Sports team. But that's it for me, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Laters.
See ya.
This is our time. You already know. I ain't gotta tell them why. Get your hands to the sky. Get your hands to the sky. Yeah. Ain't no glory for the faint of heart. We all stars, win or lose, we don't play the part. And when the going getting tough, I get to going hard. You bring your best and you know I'ma tear them apart. We been in survival, rival. I ain't got no time for anyone who ain't